Profile is made possible by grants from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and the Texas Committee for the Humanities.
It always is crazy for survivors to talk about surviving. There's something almost callous about it. I don't think success ever gave me as much pleasure as it gave most people. I'm not 100%
And I'm very sad
sure
about
I
that.
understand Hammett to this day.
Very sad.
He's a very
I
complicated
did finally
man.
take the Fifth Amendment. I
had
tried not
let
to
go
take the
of
Fifth
The
Amendment.
House Un-American
What I
Committee
said
had
was,
called me
I will
and I
talk
saw the
about
handwriting
myself.
on the wall. There was no...
My mother and I, I'm
There's no
sorry to
way
say,
out. I knew my
didn't get along.
annoyed me. I had
But
stopped writing.
And by the time I
Decided I was
realized
not going to be
why,
any good, and I
she
wasn't
was
going to be
dead.
bad. I've long ago stopped thinking about what happiness is. Taken for granted that there was no arbitrary definition of it. I'm not quite sure what strength is, unless it's the ability to think for oneself, which is what I suspect it is. That's the only thing it is. To take nobody's word and think for yourself.
You've pretty much done that.
I wish I'd done it more, and I mean that. I don't mean to turn away, if you meant it as a compliment, I don't mean to turn it away. I'm grateful for it, but I wish I had done it more.
Can you give me an example?
Well, it's what I meant by wasting time. I don't think I've done enough thinking. I would like very much at my age to think that I had thought a good deal about, for myself, I don't mean about life necessarily, but about books or writing or a way to live or what I believed in or didn't believe in or
Haven't
could
you
stand.
thought, excuse me, haven't you thought about all of those things through the characters you've written about?
Yes, I've thought about all of them. They're all, they're all slogans. But I don't think I've thought, in some cases I've tried hard to think with some kind of steadiness, steadfastness, but I think my mind has wandered from them a good deal.
In some of the things you've written, you have people who have sought things perhaps all their lives, as Julian did in Toys in the Attic, and once they get it, it doesn't work for them. Have there been things in your life that you've wanted all your life, and when you've finally gotten them, thought, that's not for me?
Trying to think. I suppose some people, yes, I suppose some people I wanted to know very well. And then when I did, I thought, what's all that all been about? Something must have been the matter with me.
Men?
Sometimes men, sometimes women. Mostly men, I guess. Yes, mostly men. Sometimes things, but that I think is age. I sometimes look around the apartment and think, well, it's nice to have had that, but what made me buy it? I wouldn't not really care whether it's here or not. I'm glad I bought it. I still like it, but it's almost as if somebody else had bought it, had gone to the trouble of it.
You said that during the McCarthy years, you got rid of things you really didn't need.
Yes, I had been so convinced that well, I had loved farming, and I still love farming. That loss I regret the rest of my life. I could never farm again, and I have a true feeling for farming, I think. But I didn't need so much land, and I didn't need to live so well, and I didn't need so many things, so many clothes, so much food, so much everything.
Do you think in retrospect that your life as a dramatist would have been any easier had you been a man, not a woman?
No,
Was it easier because you were a woman?
no,
Neither.
no, I don't think so. It might have had certain minutes where it would have been easier to have been a man, and where I wouldn't have had to, where sort of personal things didn't become quite so personal, if you know what I'm awkwardly trying to say. There might have been that if I'd been a man, but I don't think it would have made much difference.
Another question that's been raised is whether your books, coming out at a time of a great movement for women's liberation, have been lucky in their timing.
I think they have been.
And have you found yourself being considered as a standard bearer for causes that you really have nothing to do with at all because you happen to be a woman and
Yes.
because you write?
Yes. But then, yes, I have found that and been amazed by it. But then I have to say that, in a sense, I understand it, because I'm sure that I also had such people when I was young. I don't remember who they were, but I'm sure I also had such people too, who I admired because they had done certain things that I was about to do or wanted to do. Sometimes my admiration was misplaced. Sometimes it wasn't. I am all for women's liberation. I am not, as I said before, not for the offshoots of women's liberation. I mean, I believe it must begin with economic liberation. There must be equal pay for equal work.
Do you think the women's liberation movement has gotten bogged down in the wrong issues?
Very often, I think. I think the main issue must be economic.
I think you once said the argument comes down to who's going to take out the garbage, and you don't mind taking out the garbage if you know you can walk out
No,
and
if
someone
that's
insults
going to
you.
be what it is, or, you know, if that's going to be what it is, or what veil you wear, or whether you wear a brassiere, or whether
Or
you
not.
wear one or don't wear one, then it, as far as I'm concerned, it can stop there and set itself now back to equal pay, jobs for every woman who has to work, some kind of job for every woman who has to support children.
You describe without any fuss an abortion you had done in your 20s. What do you make of the anti-abortion movement today, the right-to-lifers in this country?
Well, legal abortion, of course, in my mind, is a very necessary and very properly advanced movement for people who either cannot, which is, I think, usually the case, or even if they do not want, which is almost the same case, since the child will not be loved or cherished if it's not wanted or taken proper care of, as one sees by child abuse, constant child abuse, certainly from people who never wanted the child. It's a very necessary and civilized, proper act. The other is very irreligious to me. I have just the opposite theory. The anti-abortion law is a very irreligious law to me. It's forcing on people that which they cannot properly cherish and understand.
Are you religious in any way?
No.
Do you believe in God? You mention him occasionally.
I don't know. I'm told I have a religious nature.
We went to many churches as a child.
I went to many churches as a child. I'm told by many people that I have a religious nature, but what God is, I don't know.
You said that the so-called return to religion is dangerous, the Hare Krishna kind of sex.
It's very dangerous, I think.
You called it self-serving, personal
I don't know
religion.
whether it's a return to religion as a return to cultism. That is put on the basis of a religion, and religion is used in it, which is, I think, extremely dangerous. It isn't only... We've become a cultist country.
Since you said that, of course, we've had the massacre in Guyana.
Yes, yes. Very sad to see the ignorant played upon, and very understandable and miserable. Particularly sad to see it in a place like Los Angeles, where it happens every Sunday, and it's all over television and all over the city. And
You say people say you have a religious nature, but you don't think you do?
yes, I think I do somewhere. Yes, I do. But I don't know what religion it is, and I never thought how to define it.
You've used the word Puritan about yourself a number of times in your books. In what way are you a Puritan lady?
I don't know, because so many people have said it. I don't know what they mean. I've always tried to get an explanation. I don't know, and I suppose I'm scared to get an explanation because it sounds so unattractive. But I suppose I am, because so many people have said it.
Could it be your sense of right and wrong, which was important between you and Hammett, for example?
I suppose so. And yet he was no Puritan. I don't know. I don't know why so many people have said it. If it's true, it's true. There's nothing I can do about it. I don't even know what it means. I suppose it means intolerant, really. And I suppose it also has nicer things.
You said you don't like the word tolerance.
I don't like it when it's used with the word forgive. I like it when it's used in other contexts. I like the idea of, say, tolerance of naughty children, or tolerance of bad living conditions. That when it's used that way, I like it. I don't like it when it's used along with forgiveness, since I think forgiveness is a very arrogant word.
In a recent interview, you said, we live in a time of junky words, junky ideas. What are those?
Oh, I think you and I have been talking about them. The kind of cult world,
The me
the
generation.
me world.
Said love, how we must all find love, we all need love.
Yes, and
Do you think
world of-
people don't know how to give love very well anymore, these young people? They're looking for it but don't know what it is.
I suppose they know as much about giving it as anybody ever knew about giving it, except I don't think people talked so much about it. I'm not sure love can be analyzed. And it seems to me the minute you begin the analysis, you're in trouble. There's so many kinds of love. There's so many ways of loving. Whose ways? Your ways, your mother's way, your father's way, whose way? But I really meant all the cultism, and which I think comes from the over self-examination. We were all in America brought up, God knows I was, and I'm sure you were, and almost all other Americans were, particularly middle-class Americans, in the great belief that we were all going to be very, very happy. And that we were all going to be very, very happy. And that we were all going to be very, very happy. And that we were all going to be very, very happy. And that we were all going to be very, very happy. And that we were all going to be very, very happy. And that we were all going to be very, very happy. And that we were all going to be very, very happy. And that we were all going to be very, very happy. And that we were all going to be very, very happy. And that we were all going to be very, very happy. And that we were all going to be very, very happy. And that we were all going to be very, very happy. And that we were all going to be very, very happy. And that we were all going to be very, very happy. And that we were all going to be very, very happy. And that we were all going to be very, very happy. And that we were all going to be very, very happy. And that we were all going to be very, very happy. And that we were all going to be very, very happy. And that we were all going to be very, very happy. And that we were all going to be very, very happy. And that we were all going to be very, very happy. And that we were all going to be very most other countries don't have such conceptions. It's very cheerful and it's very amusing and it's rather nice we have it.
It's in our Declaration of Independence.
It's in our Declaration of Independence. It's very nice that we have it. But it's also we pay a high price for it.
The search for happiness.
Well, we'd all like to be happy, but
You mean the expectation of
the
happiness is something we
expectation
pay.
of the living in full expectation that it's due us. And if we're not happy, we're in terrible trouble. And older people, I happen to be very amused and rather pleased with it in Americans because I think it has a hopefulness and cheerfulness about it. But I think we pay a very high price for it.
What is that price?
That we find that it's very, very seldom there. And that we've never stopped to define it for ourselves. We've been so busy looking at ourselves that we've never defined what it means. Does it mean a good meal? Does it mean a good job? Does it mean a sunny day? Does it mean enough to eat for that evening? Does it mean a nice book? Does it mean 10 minutes of good music? What does it mean? I mean, you know.
All of those things.
All of those things. And some of them should do.
Are you happy?
I don't think so, but it took me a very long time to realize that I'm not unhappy.
But you're happy about many of the things you've accomplished.
I've long ago stopped thinking about what happiness is. Taken for granted that there was no arbitrary definition of it.
Happiness is in moments, perhaps?
Yes, I think it's probably as much as one can expect.
You once said it's a sad day when you find out that it's not accident or time or fortune, but just yourself that kept things from you. What does that mean?
I'm referring back to the same things I've been referring to, of knowledge or growth, or learning. I used to think, I guess, when I was young that if I'd gone to school longer, if I'd taken an MA or a PhD, that I was sad that I didn't and it was my fault. But I don't think that anymore. I think I perfectly well could have done it myself and didn't.
You grew up, of course, in two places, New York and New Orleans. Did this splitting of your life give you a certain ability to remove yourself from things and be on the outside and look in and then describe? Did that contribute to your writing, do you think?
I don't think so. I don't think so. It gave me a certain precocious quality, I think, as a child. I don't think it gave me any greater ability to look in one way or the other, because life is not controlled by cities, really, for a child. It is controlled by one's family. As I told you the other day, I liked New Orleans much better than I liked New York, but I think it gave me a sharper look into more people in the sense of my family than I might have had in one place. But, no, I don't think it had anything to do with looking on the outside. I was I had a curious mind as a child. I was curious about everybody. My father used to say I was born within a question mark. I seem to have spent most of my childhood irritating everybody with, I had no other form of conversation except the question mark, a question.
You wrote in Unfinished Woman, A woman who was never to be committed was facing a man who already was. This is when you were talking about Hamlet.
Yes.
And you seem to yearn for that kind of commitment to an ideal.
Yes, I suppose well, I don't know whether yearn is the right word. I terribly admire people who are committed people. But committed has nothing in my mind to do with politics. I'm a great admirer of people who are committed, say, to any work they do, whatever the work is.
Well, you've been very committed to your work.
In my mind, not enough. I suppose I have, but in my mind, not enough.
How do you mean? Are you too hard on yourself, do you think?
I'm told I am. I don't think so. I'm told so.
I mean, you've written, what, 9, 12 plays, 3 books,
13 plays.
13 plays, forgive me, I
I
didn't
think
add
it's
well.
13, 12 or 13.
You've worked very hard,
That's quite different.
and you've gotten critical acclaim.
That's quite
Why are you
different,
hard on
too.
yourself? What more do you think you should be doing or should have done?
I don't think fame or the number of things you've done mean that you're necessarily committed in a total fashion to what you do. And maybe I am, and maybe I don't know it, and maybe I'm too hard on myself. And maybe it's one of the reasons that I romanticize other people's commitments, what I think of their commitments. Hammett swears that once we had a plumber coming at the farm to fix something, and I never moved from the room for 2 hours. I was watching him. And Hammett, was calling to me to come and do something. And I said, no, I can't come. And he came out in the kitchen and said, why can't you come? And I said, but I'm watching him. And he said, but you don't even know what he's doing. You haven't any idea what he's doing. And I said, that isn't what I'm watching. I'm watching somebody committed. I suppose that's exactly what I mean.
Miss Hellman, in your introduction to the letters of Chekhov, you quoted Chekhov and said, a reasoned life without a definite outlook is not a life, but a burden and a horror. Have you had a definite outlook and a reasoned life?
I've tried to. It's not definite enough, but I've tried to. I deeply believe in that statement. That statement influenced me a great deal because I read it when I was quite young. And I agreed with it totally. I've tried to. I don't know that I've managed it. As you get older, you'll find, as so everybody else, so does everybody else, that it's very hard to know what you did deliberately and what you did by taste and what you did by instinct, what you did because you were 5'4" or 5'10", or blonde or brunette, or pretty or not pretty, or rich or not rich. It's very hard to sort it all out. And to say that you had one path and followed it, which is what most people do think, I think, has always seemed to me a shabby lie, and I don't like to tell it, or to mislead particularly the young people into thinking it's there. You go in so many directions, and you realize as you get older, for so many different reasons, and for such quirky, inexplicable reasons. And then if you're vain enough and don't seek the truth enough, you pat yourself on the back for all the good things and tell yourself that you alone did them and skip the rest. I have an almost terror of doing this. I don't like to say that I followed a reason, because I don't believe I did. I tried for it, because I don't like lack of reason. It scares me. Unreasonable people scare me a great deal and make me perfectly furious. My worst angers are with unreasonable people.
How would you like to be remembered?
Well,
For what?
as a good writer.
Profile was made possible by grants from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and the Texas Committee for the Humanities.